guys, it's Ashley, Scrapping Nerd, and I'm back today with a layout for Scraplift Crafternoon, and it's where a bunch of my crafty peeps and I get together and we scraplift an amazing layout from an amazing creator. And this week we are scraplifting Louise, and you saw her layout at the top of the video. And I am using, I know, shocker, the 49 Market Wonderlust Explorer, and I pulled out my entire collection. I have the chipboard words, the washi tape, the 6x8 pieces of paper, the epoxy stickers, the ephemera. I pulled it all out. And then I also pulled out this Tim Holtz stencil burlap is what it's called. And I'm using the Distress ink in Walnut Stain. I also pulled in the Distress ink in Vintage Photo, but I don't use that till the end. And so in her layout, she had some mixed media in the background. And so I'm using this burlap to kind of create the mixed media that's going to be behind the photo and then the main part. And I ended up on the right side, I ended up not putting it far enough over, but I had already, you'll see, but I had already glued stuff down. And so I tried to fix it and I didn't. So I would have liked it to be a little bit more over on the right side, but I still like how the layout turned out. And I didn't want to put any burlap of the stencil burlap behind the photo because there was no need. And so all I did was take the Distress ink and kind of put it around. And I didn't do the whole stencil, I just did bits of it because I didn't want that square part of the stencil to show. And so I was just kind of moving it around and then doing little odd sections of the stencil to kind of match. And this is the one where I would have liked to have maybe shifted it over a little bit more so that it had been further on the right. I had thought about going over it again with some Vintage Photo, but I ended up doing some splatters at the end with the Vintage Photo. So I liked this. And so now in her layout, she had a bunch of papers. I mean, her layout is just gorgeous. She had a bunch of papers that she had rolled up, and it looks amazing. Now, I have never done this, and I'm going to say that, well, I like hers, and I like how mine turned out. I am not a fan of this rolling of paper. Maybe there's an easier way, but I had the worst time fiddling with these rolled paper bits. Let me tell you, I will cut a lot of that out, obviously, because nobody wants to sit there and see me fiddle with these, but oh my goodness. So I took scraps that I had, I took the 6x8 photo or papers that I had, and I'm just cutting the strips in like it's the size of the branding strips, so like that's an inch, I believe. And I had thought I was going to use some of the branding strips I had, but there has to be pattern on both sides because I'll glue it down and then I'll roll it. And so I didn't want one side to say 49 Market, you know. So I ended up not being able to use the branding strips I thought I was going to use. And so I just used the scraps and everything and cut these strips. And the 6x8 papers are a little bit short than I needed, so I just glued them together, and so they're kind of spliced together under the photo, but you wouldn't know the difference. I did use some of the one of the papers that had the cut aparts on the back, and I can see some of the writing. It's not my favorite. I probably shouldn't have used those so that the writing was on the front, but again, we live and learn, and I'm telling you, these little rolly things were the bane of my existence. And so here's where I start to try to lay them out. And I took the ones that were 12 by 12 and I folded them in half because I didn't want the one side to be thicker than the other. And so I fiddled with this a lot. Again, these are things I'm not going to make you sit and watch me do. And I thought that I had made them even, but I did have one extra. Again, things that you also probably wouldn't even notice unless I pointed it out. And so that's probably the problem. My like OCD perfectionism probably just got lost in this layout and I lost my complete marbles. But this is why I love doing this series with everyone, because you guys out there make amazing layouts and do things I wouldn't even try like this. And I make a very good attempt at it. But again, her layout is just completely gorgeous. So make sure that you go and check out her Instagram and any other social media links she has. They will be in the description box below. Gorgeous, gorgeous. They're amazing layouts. So go give her some love, some likes, subscribes, do all the things. As well as go check out all of my crafty peeps that are also scrap lifting Louise today. And so there'll be lots of paper rolling going on. And I'm curious to see if every one of them did it easier, because maybe I just picked the hardest way to go about it, and so that's why I lost my mind. But make sure you visit them, give them all the loves, the likes, subscribes, look at their wonderful, beautiful layouts as well. And so here I am, still organizing my strips. And again, I cut out a lot of this video, so this was an all day, like, where am I going to put these strips in which order? And I kept having to lift them up on the back side because not all of the patterns are the same. Like, some patterns are multiples, and so I don't want to have the same back side of the paper next to each other. So I had to keep lifting up to make sure that was not occurring, and then trying to make sure that my patterns were all mixed up. Whew. So then I kind of got where I wanted my photo, and I glued the top strip and the bottom strip down. And then from there, I kept going top and bottom, back and forth to try to make sure that my strips were even as they can be. I wanted a little bit of a gap between the strips. I didn't want them right up next to each other because I wanted to see some of that mixed media that I did in the background. But yeah, so I did the top, then the bottom, and so that way that when I got to the middle of the strips, they weren't all like clustered at the bottom, and then I had a huge gap. And so that seemed to work. And I'm only gluing them down in the middle. The edges are going to be not glued down yet, and I shouldn't have glued them down when I did, because I had to pull some of them up to stick my embellishments under. And so, like I said, this was a journey. And so I knew that I wanted to double mat my photo, so I just pulled in a scrap piece of paper and used the backside as the white photo mat for this photo. And then I'll pull in one of the 6x8 papers to make a photo mat behind the white. And this just kind of helps differentiate the photo from all the patterns. And the funny thing is, this is on a white 12x12, and I don't normally like to do just plain white background, which I will put splatters all over it to kind of cover up that it's just stark white, because I feel like there's so much room that I could put more stuff if it's a white non-patterned paper. So I don't normally do that either. So this whole layout was just outside of my comfort little box. I mean, I still piled 10,000 things on the layout, but it still was doing other things that I don't normally do. So definitely thank you for that inspiration, Louise. So yeah, I double matting my photo. I'm going to put it in the middle, and I just do my small border around, and I do use Distress ink for the walnut stain to border my photo mat, plus the embellishments that are going to be scattered all around. I will ink the edges of those. I just love it. I ink everything. I just love when things have inked edges, because I feel like it makes them pop up off the background. And maybe it's just because I do pile so much on my layouts that my backgrounds are always so busy, and so I feel like when I ink them, it kind of separates them from that crazy that is my 12x12 layouts. But I pulled in, so I had in my craft room here these little Minions chopsticks, and I love Minions. I just love them. And so people always give me like little Minion gifts or something, and so these chopsticks are one of them. And so it's his legs are the chopsticks. I just love it. But so it just sits in my craft room because it makes me happy, and I thought, well, I can use those to roll my papers around. So my fun little chopsticks that just sat in here to make me happy actually became a craft tool. And so I'm using them to just kind of start the rolling of each of the papers. And again, I won't make you watch me do this for every single one. And you can see I just put that in there, and it just helps me to get that curl to start and to when it rolls, so that I don't flatten it or it becomes more square than a roll. And so I got all the edges rolled, and now I need to figure out how I'm going to put them. And so my idea, because this is a travel theme, is I wanted to make an arrow. In the inspiration layout, she has them kind of rolled on either side in like a diamond pattern, I guess you could call it. But I'm only going to make a point on one side, on the right side, and then I'm going to roll them kind of in a straight line on the left side. So that looks more like an arrow for this travel theme. And so this is a picture of my husband, and of course, we're on the cruise and we're going on our excursion, and this is what he chose to wear. And I was just, he's so freaking adorable, but does anything else say tourist than what he is wearing? I mean, he has the little tourist bucket hat, and then he has the Hawaiian shirt. He has his backpack, and then he has his camera strapped around him too, and his little white sneakers. I'm like, and his little cargo shorts. I'm like, you, sir, are the epitome of what a tourist looks like. And so this is just a picture of him that I took when we were on the cruise ship before we left for the excursion, because I couldn't stop laughing at him. And of course, laughing with love, but it's just screams tourist. And so that's what we're scrapbooking today. And like I said, I wanted it to be like an arrow pointing. And so when I was doing this, and I noticed that the burlap didn't go all the way past where I was going to put the rolls, and so I tried to use the stencil to then add some more burlap to go around, but quickly realized that since I had glued my rolled paper down and I couldn't get the stencil under them, that it didn't look good. So, which is fine, because, you know, I will pile all my embellishments on and you can't see the mixed media anyway normally. So, but that was the problem with this. It also added to my headaches with this layout, is I had to keep pulling up some of my little rolled things to shove stuff under, and my embellishments and stuff. So I shouldn't have glued down my rolly bits of paper until I had decided where I was going to put all of the embellishments. But anyways, I digress. So you see here, it was just me gluing and rolling and gluing and rolling, and that's what I did for hours on end. But you can see that I made the pointy part on the right side, and then just everything is lined up. Again, not going to make you watch me do all that. I want to say thank you to everyone that has liked and subscribed to my channel. I really appreciate it. If you haven't done so yet, go ahead and hit those buttons. I'd love to have you. I'm getting back into the groove of making my layouts. I told you I was starting to go back to school for a master's, and it's just controlling all of my spare time. But I think I'm getting back in the groove. But of course, this is why, you know, sometimes my layouts are later than everyone else's. But I appreciate all you guys hanging in with me, because I just love to scrapbook, and I love communicating and with all of you guys, and it's just a lot of fun. So thank you for hanging in with me, even though I know my posting schedule is not the most reliable. But again, this is what I do for fun, and I just have fun. And when I make a layout, I post a video. And the editing, not the best part, not the most fun part, but I just love making these layouts with you guys. So anyways, now we're going to start piling on the embellishments to cover up some of the boo-boos that I made, and to add all the stuff to this layout. In the upper corner, I put this little journaling tag, and it says making memories. And this, of course, is all from the Wanderlust Explorer, the little suitcase with the florals there. I thought the suitcases would look good because he's still in the room. And then it just goes with the theme. I will put wordy bits on here. The title is down on the bottom right, like she had. And so Wanderlust Explorer, I thought, was a good title for his little touristy outfit there. And up at the top right, it'll say memories, life is short, travel often. and I'll put "The world is yours to explore." So, you know, just my fun little wordy bits that I will put around. With the florals, I didn't have much left, so I just put the rest of what I had, little leaves and stuff. I'll go and tuck them in between all of the embellishments, and I use my foam and my stylus to just kind of give them some dimension so that they're not flat on the page. And you've seen me do that a million times. It's one of my favorite things to do with florals and leaves. And so this is where I'm getting those other little wordy bits, and they're the chipboard words that came with the collection. And so there's a bunch of the words that you can put together. And so I finally just decided to do the Wanderlust Explorer for the title. There was another, like if I just wanted to do memories as the title, but it's kind of like 2 titles maybe, but you know, wordy bits. I love me some good wordy bits. But the Explorer word the L was really high, and I didn't like how much room was between the Wanderlust and the Explorer. So I started tucking in the compass and the globe. And so I like how it turned out, and it just kind of fills up that space so that I don't see this like glaring white space, because it's not a pattern paper. It's funny how these little things drive me nuts. Funny or a little scary, but either way, I then am going to, I'm putting those last little floral bits, kind of tucking them in, and I'm so excited. I used the entire section of those flowers. Well, I'm excited that I used it up, but then also kind of sad because, you know, I love this collection. And but there'll be another collection that I love coming, you know, that comes along. So I used up a whole little sheet, and so that's exciting. And then the last thing I will do after I get all those in is do the splatters. So I just take the vintage photo, and then you'll see on my glass mat, I just kind of rub it on the glass mat and get a lot of the ink. And then I have the little distress spray bottle, and I'll use that to spray some water on it, and then use a paintbrush to flick the distress ink on the layout, and it just covers up the white space so that I think that it's a pattern paper, and I don't think that I need to add any more stuff. I had thought about adding some gold splatter too, just to give it a little bit shimmer and shine, but I decided that no, this is more of a kind of grungy type layout, and so it didn't need any gold, and it's good. And I just packed a lot. There's just certain spots I put a lot of drops in, and some that I put a little bit in. So, but that is going to be the layout. Again, this was a journey. This one was quite a journey for me. I do love how it turned out. Check out the inspiration layout. It's amazingly beautiful. And check out everyone else that is also scraplifting the layout. I'm sure theirs is beautiful, and I need them to teach me some tricks on how to not lose my marbles while rolling all of these pieces of paper. But anyways, guys, have a great day. Bye.